Hello, guys and gals, and this is Bub Snow and the Burly Bear Scare by Carol Wallace and Bill Wallace, and this is part 6. And we are getting to near the end of the book. In the last episode, we met the otters, I believe. Let's see. Oh yeah. And yeah, this is the one with the otters. Okay. Next, so we're going to start here. Mother and I waited in the safety of the fir trees. The next morning, of the fir trees the next morning. The sun had been up a while before Jane and Jessie came waddling out of the barn carrying loads of hay. Their hooves were not broad and strong like Mother's and mine. It was hard for them to walk in the deep white powder. The people Mother stood and watched. Jessie put his hay down and started back. Jane put her hay down, but instead of leaving, she stood there a moment. I stepped out from behind the fir tree and stared towards her. Bub, Mother warned, stay away from the people. They're dangerous. At that exact same second, the people's mother called to her little one. People Mother. 60, okay, 88, okay. Make sure I'm not missing any pages here. Jane, stay away from the moose. They're dangerous. Her little round face was pretty when she smiled and waved at me. I waved back with my ears. Once they were inside, Mother let me go eat. Jane and Jessie came back out while we were munching the hay. They played tag around their big log cabin. People noises, laughter, and giggling filled the air. It sounded like fun. It reminded me of Snow. The little wolf and I had such a good time playing tag. I wished Snow was here. I wished I could join Jane and Jessie with their game. Mother watched me. If I wandered towards them, she stomped a heavy hoof on the ground, warning me to come back. When Jane and Jessie moved towards us and too far away from the house, the people Mother told them to come back too. We foraged above the pond while we strolled past it. I looked for Chippy. My friend was no place to be found. The roof of his lodge looked like it was finished. Some of the light, powdery snow had blown to cover part of it, helping to keep the warmth inside. Farther up the stream, we found Linda, Sue, and Joe Bob. Joe Bob's slide. They weren't around either. There were no mean or ugly sounds from the forests. There were no prickly feelings on the back of my neck as we hunted food. Burly was not out and about this morning. I was glad. Our valley was quiet and peaceful. Farther towards the high country, we found some green grass buried beneath the snow. While Mother ate, noises from the ski slopes drew me up the far side of the ridge. Even without turning to look, I could feel Mother's eyes on me, so I didn't venture very far. I did find a place in the middle of a tall pine grove where I could watch the people watch. From where I could watch. The people noises were different from the sounds the two otters made when they swished down their slide. Still, the same feeling of fun and excitement came from them. I could sense it as I watched them zoom down the hill. Late that afternoon, as we moved towards our shelter near the people house, Joe Bob was playing on the otter slide. Linda Sue was lying on her back munching a trout that she had caught. When she finished eating, she went and joined him. Linda Sue was the one who spotted us. "Hey, Bub," she greeted. "You come to try the slide again?" I glanced at Mother. She smiled and shrugged her big, beautiful ears. "Go ahead if you want." Trotting through the snow, I stopped at the very top of the otter slide. I took a deep breath and folded my legs beneath me, but nothing happened. I wiggled, trying to nestle my tummy down against the snow. I stretched my front legs out, still nothing. Then I felt something on my bottom. Okay, let's see. Glancing. Back, I could see Linda Sue and Joe Bob standing on their hind legs. They shoved and pushed with their front paws. They strained and bumped over and over again against my rump. I didn't budge an inch. "Sorry, kid, it doesn't look like it's going to work." Joe Bob sighed. "Reckon if we rolled him over on his back," Linda Sue suggested. Joe Bob just shot her a disgusted look. She wiggled her whiskers and stuck her tongue out at him. Then she smiled up at me. Don't give up, kiddo. You'll get it. You'll get it. One of these days, if you keep trying. I got to my feet, thanking them for trying to help me, then followed Mother down the valley. I wished I could ski like the people did. I wished I could slide and play with the otters. We returned from foraging early that afternoon. Jane and Jessie were playing outside. I guess they were playing. Jessie was walking around pulling on a rope. Jane sat on her bottom on some pieces of wood. There were two bright, shiny things under the wood. Whenever Jessie went with the rope, Jane and the pile of wood followed him. After a while, he stopped and handed the rope to Jane. It's my turn to ride the sled now. Oh, it's my turn to ride the sled. Then he sat on the wood and she pulled him. She didn't pull him very far, though, but at least she tried. Once they came sort of close to our trees. I wanted to get a better look at the thing they called the sled. Mother stomped her foot and snorted, telling me to stop. When the mother people saw where her little ones were, she called for them. Mother made me stay in the trees until they were back to the house. I don't know why Mother thought people were dangerous. I didn't know why the mother people thought moose were dangerous either. Mother was much wiser than I was. So, well, maybe some people were mean, but not Jessie, and especially not Jane. They never tried to hurt us. All they did was feed us hay. Jane was sweet and gentle, and I could feel her tenderness when she had touched me. Why couldn't Mother understand? Grown-ups are so weird sometimes. The snowblower came the next morning. Jane and Jessie had just put our hay down and gone back to the log cabin. Mother and I hadn't even left the shelter of the trees when we heard the thing huffing and puffing up the road. Plumes of snow blew high into the air. Jane, Jessie, the people mother, and even the people daddy stood in front of their house and watched it, holding hands in front of them. They patted them together real fast and hard. It made a funny popping sound when they cheered and waved at the snowblower. I guess they were happy to see it. It was a clear, pretty day. The sun was high. Wait, making sure I didn't miss a page. Okay, sorry about that. It was a clear, pretty day. The sun was high, right above our heads, and Mother decided to stop searching for food and lay down. She said the winter sun was good for animals. We found a wide clearing not far from the pond and curled up and enjoyed the wonderful day. The snow glistened as bright as stars in the night sky. Even in a world that seemed covered with ice and snow, the sun felt warm. I closed my eyes. My head felt heavy, but before it so much as touched the snow, I heard the noise. My eyes popped wide. The people noises were like nothing I'd ever heard before. There was laughter and giggling and yelling and shouting. The valley seemed to overflow with all the sounds. I stretched my neck and looked towards the pond. There was a whole herd of people. Beside me, I felt Mother stir. I wanted to watch and see what all the commotion was about, but I knew Mother would want to leave. Pouting, I started to get up. Be still, Bob. Mother nudged me with her nose. We're far enough away. I don't think they have seen us. People surrounded the pond. There were 7 little people about the size of Jane and Jessie, and 6 big people. They carried strange things. The first thing I noticed was big and black and round. It took 2 people of the daddy-sized people to carry it. The thing reminded me of the tires on a people car, only the thing was gigantic. 2 of the mother-sized people carried something that looked like a leaf. It was brown and thin. Only this leaf was enormous. They put it down near the very top of the hill, not far from the otter slide. I saw a little blur of brown streak through the trowel. Joe, Bob, and Linda Sue disappeared into the ice hole they had made by helping Chippy keep open. The people never saw them. Each of the other 2 big people carried the sled. 3 of the Jessie-sized little people carried the sled, too. Only the sled was twice as long. All the people animals climbed to the top of the hill, and they put their things down. Then one of the big daddy people walked out on the ice. He marched about stomping his hooves. Then he stopped and jumped up and down. "Frozen solid as a rock," he called. Everyone cheered and laughed. The two mother-sized people with the giant leaf called to the others. Everyone gathered at the back of the big leaf. They held on to one side of it as the two mother-sized people climbed on. Then another big people got on with them, and finally a fourth. "Okay," one of them yelled. Let it go." The people released their hold on the back of the giant leaf, squealing and laughing. The four mother-sized people flew down the hill and way out onto Chippy's pond. They rolled and tumbled over one another, then got to their feet and dragged it back to the top of the slope. The other two big people and three of the little people hopped on and whooshed down. When they brought it back, all the little people got on and slid. After about 5 or 6 trips, the path that they took began to look packed and icy, just like the otter slide. They tossed the huge leaf aside and started taking turns riding the sleds down the slope. After they did that for a while, they got the humongous round black thing. Everyone sat down on it. One of the people said, 1, 2, 3. All at the same time, they lifted their hooves, and the whole bunch of them went whizzing and spinning down the slide. I'd never heard so much laughing and giggling and goofy sounds in my whole life. It was almost dark then when they left. They all seemed very tired and quiet, not at all like they acted when they got here. Once the people were gone, Mother and I got up and started home too. That was when I spotted the enormous brown leaf. They left it behind, right near the top of their slide. A little quiver raced up my back, clear to my ears. Then it raced the other direction until my tail wagged and wagged and wagged. I could hardly wait until tomorrow. We are to chapter 12. Opening my eyes, I could see the bright sunshine pouring into the valley. Mother was already up. She nuzzled the snow away from the ground and near the edge of the trees. Feeling safe and cozy, I wanted to sleep a little while longer. All at once, my eyes flashed open. The giant leaf. I could hardly wait. Snow flew in all directions as I jumped up and ran to Mother. "I'm hungry. Let's go forage up by Chippy's pond." I snuggled against her. She glanced back at me and tilted her head way to one side. "Don't you want to eat first?" "No, we don't need the people food. Let's go find our own breakfast this morning." Mother's head tilted the other way. She studied me for a long time. Finally, her ears gave a little flick. "All right, bub, what's going on?" How do mothers always know when we're up to something? I wondered when I noticed how she looked at me square in the eye. I knew there was no sense in trying to fib. "I want to see if I can slide down the hill on the giant leaf." Mother frowned and leaned both ears towards me. "Giant leaf?" "The big square brown leaf that the people slid down the hill on," I explained. Mother wobbled her head back and forth. "That's not a leaf, bub. It's called cardboard. It's something people make out of trees. They chew it up and smash it flat and stick it back together and well," she stopped and gave a little snort. "Okay. What is it you want to do with the giant leaf?" "I want to slide down the hill like the people did. I couldn't go down the otter slide with Joe Bob and Linda Sue. I got stuck, remember? But I bet I can use the what did you call it?" Mother shrugged her big ears. "Giant leaf is fine." "Yeah, I bet if I use the giant leaf like the people did, I can slide just like the otters." Mother looked at me a moment, then heaved a long sigh. "All right, but if you get hurt, I'm not going to feel the least bit sorry for you." When we got to the pond, I wanted to race across and climb the hill where the giant leaf was. Mother stomped her hoof and honked, calling me back to her. It is late enough in the winter for the pond to be safe," Mother said. "But even so, you must never go out onto the ice unless I am with you to check and make sure." I waited while she strolled back and forth across the frozen pond. She even stopped a couple of times and pawed at spots with her big strong hooves. Big strong hoof. Once sure it was safe, she looked at me and wobbled her ears towards the place where the giant leaf was. I charged across the pond, raced up the hill, and slid to a stop. The big brown leaf was right where the people had left it. I leaned forward and sniffed. It didn't really smell like a leaf. I reached down and nibbled one corner. It didn't taste like a leaf. In the snow, I could see tracks webbed footprints where the otters had come to investigate the strange thing. Slowly and carefully I used my nose to shove it towards the edge of the slope. "What's happening, little buckaroo?" The shrill, chattery voice startled me. My head was already down, shoving the leaf. I glanced between my legs. Joe, Bob, and Linda Sue stood right behind me. "Did you see the people yesterday?" Both otters nodded. "Who could miss them? Never heard so much racket in all my days." "Did you see them slide down the hill?" Again they nodded. I quit looking between my legs and stood up straight and proud. "Well, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the giant leaf and slide." Leaping and hopping over each other, Joe, Bob, and Linda Sue raced to me. "We'll help. What do you want us to do? Want us to give you a push? Just tell us what you want." "I don't know yet," I told them. "Give me a second. Let me think about how the people did it." On the edge of the giant leaf was hanging over the crest. One edge of the giant leaf was hanging over the crest of the slope. I studied it a moment, trying to remember. Okay, they got on the leaf and sat down. I looked at it and nibbled my bottom lip. I can do that. I know how to fold my hind legs under me and sit down. Yeah, I can do that. My eyes flashed. Wait, there's something else. I know how you can help, I told the otters. Part of the people held the leaf while the others sat down on it. Would you hold it for me? Sure thing, little buckaroo. Joe Bob pounced up to the edge of the leaf. He took one corner in his teeth and bit down. Linda Sue raced to the other corner and chomped down on it. "We got her, it'll bud, anytime you're ready," they mumbled. It was really hard to understand them since they had to talk through one side of their mouths while holding the giant leaf in their teeth. I took a deep breath. Left front hoof, then right front hoof, left rear hoof, then right rear hoof. Walk to the middle and sat down. I got it now. I can do it. Here goes. I put my left front hoof on the leaf, then I put my right front hoof on the leaf, then the leaf took off. I wasn't ready. I only had my front hooves on the thing. The leaf didn't care. It just whooshed away down the steep hill. Since my front hooves were on it, they went too. Only my back hooves were still stuck in the snow. I didn't even have time to jump back. There was a little whomp sound. It came from me when my tummy hit the ground. Then away I went. I guess I should say away we went. Joe Bob and Linda Sue were still clamped on to their corners of the leaf, stretched out on their tummies. All three of us went zooming down the hill. Sprawled flat, my front hooves and chest were on the giant leaf. Hind legs and tummy floundered around, chasing the rest of me and the leaf down the steep slope. I was going really fast, then faster and faster, and the wind fluttered my eyelashes. It whistled in my ears. Faster, faster. Everything happened so quick I didn't even know what was going on until we slowed at the far side of the pond. When we finally stopped, I lay there a moment. I was still holding my breath when I let it out. The strange sound came out of me. It was a laugh, not a people laugh, but a moose laugh. I laughed and laughed and laughed until a little tear came to my eye. "Yee-haw," said Joe Bob yelped once he let go of the leaf. "Yahoo!" Linda Sue squealed. She hopped over my back and went to wrestle with Joe Bob. "What a ride, cowboy. We went clear to the far bank of the pond. Reckon that's the best slide that we ever had." They laughed and tumbled and played. I had to stop for a second to catch my breath. Mother stood high on the slope of the valley, frozen. She watched until she was sure I was okay. Then she shook her head, rolled her eyes, and went back to munching on the green fir boughs. I had to roll over on one side and tuck my legs under me to get up. As soon as I was on my feet, I heard a sound. It was weird, sort of yapping, howling, snorting noise, all rolled into one. I looked up the hill where we had just come from. At first I couldn't see what was making all the racket. Then I saw 3 black dots in the solid white, 2 black eyes and a black nose. "Snow!" I honked. "Snow, is that you?" The white wolf howled and hooted. He flopped around in the snow, rolling from side to side like he was having a fit or something. It had to have been, it had been so long since I had seen snow. I charged across the pond and galloped up the hill. He didn't even look up. He just kept rolling and laughing his fool tail off. That's the funniest thing I ever saw in my life, he howled. You should have seen your eyes. I didn't know Moose's eyes could get that big. Around, I mean. There you were, sprawled out flat on your belly, flying down the hill, and the two otters hanging on, bouncing around right there with you. He started howling and rolling in the snow again. I walked over to him and gave him a big wet kiss. Hey, what's that all about? Snow shook his fur and shot me a disgusted look. I'm so happy to see you again. What are you doing here? My pack is just passing through. We've been down hunting rabbits. Headed back up to the high. There's Snow and Bub country. We'll just be here a day or two, but I never expected to see, he broke off howling again, never expected to see a moose go flying down a hill like that. It was fun. I puffed out my chest and stood tall. You ought to try it. Snow shook his head. I raised an eyebrow. What's wrong? You scared? That was all it took. We spent the rest of the afternoon taking turns sliding down the hill on the giant leaf. Getting it to the top was easy. Once Snow got in on things, he latched on to one corner and growled and snarled, growling and snarling, tugged the thing to the top. I asked him if all that noise was really necessary. He just wagged his tail and told me that it helped. Once Joe Bob and Linda Sue found that Snow was no threat to them, they even joined in. I would hold the leaf down with my hoof while Snow and the two otters climbed on. As soon as they were ready, I raised my hoof and off they went. Snow would drag the leaf back to the top. There he and the otters would hold it while I got on. Sometimes I got on. Most times it started sliding. Snow, Joe Bob, and Linda Sue just weren't heavy enough to hold me. So all four of us would go flying down the hill, sprawled out on our bellies. I never had so much fun. We were just preparing to make another run when... Please hold just a sec. When suddenly Snow froze, eyes tight. He looked towards a pine thicket not far from Chippy's dam. What is it? I whispered. Snow's lip curled to one side and he let out a little growl. People. They're by the trees. People are the most dangerous animals in the forest. Stretching my neck towards the pines, I finally spotted what Snow was talking about. Jane and Jessie stood there watching us and pointing and giggling and laughing. Those aren't people, I told Snow. Those are Jane and Jessie. Snow's sharp little pointy ears perked. Not people? Well, okay. They're people, but they're nice people. They won't hurt us. Come on, let's slide some more. Still keeping one eye on Jane and Jessie, Snow latched onto the edge of the giant leaf. I raised my foot to step on it, but before I could put it down, the sound of crashing limbs and brush came to our ears. Eyes wide, all of us spun to look at the trees where the two little people were. Growl, growl, run, Snow. Snow's yap was shrill and high. It's Burly. He almost got my dad yesterday. Snow took off for the far ridge. Run. Jessie and Jane must have heard the sound before we did. Both scrambled for the nearest pine and climbed as fast as they could. Jessie just barely got his leg out of the way when the huge grizzly bear skidded into the branches at the bottom of their tree, growling and snarling. Burly stood up on his back legs and slapped at the boy above him. Jane screamed as she scrambled higher. Burly tried to climb up, but the fat old bear was too heavy for the small tree. Sitting on his haunches, he grabbed the pine tree with his front paws and shook it as hard as he could. Help! Jessie screamed, his legs dangling down just inches from Burly's reach. Burly roared and snarled. He was huge. I'd never seen an animal so big. Jane cried. She was so tiny, so helpless, as she clung to the pine limb just above the enormous, nasty old bear. And there's only one chapter left, but alas, we are out of time. We will finish this book up next time. we've been reading Bub, Snow, and the Burly Bear Scare by Carol Wallace and Bill Wallace. If you like this content, make sure you like and subscribe and ring the bell so you know when I upload. As always, if you want to support me in any way, all that information will be in the description below. And as always, thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.